Welcome back to the second video of this mini course. I sincerely appreciate your continued support and dedication. In this segment we will delve into the crucial process of UV unwrapping for the soccer ball model, which is essential to prepare it for texturing and rendering. By the end of this video you will have a solid understanding of UV unwrapping techniques and be well equipped to proceed with the next stages of the workflow. So let's get started and unlock the potential of our soccer ball model. In the upcoming steps we will utilize the powerful UVW Unwrap modifier in 3ds Max, which provides a native and efficient method for unwrapping models. This modifier allows us to unfold and arrange the UV coordinates for our soccer ball, paving the way for precise texturing and shading later. In addition to the UVW Unwrap modifier, we will also make use of the UV Tool script for streamlining better our workflow. This script offers convenient features like aligning UV islands and easily orienting them for optimal arrangement. However, rest assured that I will demonstrate alternative methods to achieve similar results without relying on the script, ensuring that you can follow along even if you don't have access to it. So let's dive into the UV unwrapping process and explore both the script assisted and manual techniques. Now let's pick up where we left off in the previous video. To begin, we will need to apply a standard material with a UV checker map on the soccer ball. Open the Slate material editor and drag a standard material into the view. Name the material Map Checker and assign it to both parts of the soccer ball, namely SB White and SB Black. This will help us visualize the UV mapping process to ensure that our texture aligns correctly on the model. Alright, let's jump right into the process of applying a texture checker map to the soccer ball in 3ds Max. We've got a handy shortcut that will save us time from navigating through the installation folder in order to find the map, so go ahead and close the material editor for now and let's get started. To begin, select one of the objects, such as SB White, and navigate to the Modify panel. From the modifier list, choose Unwrap UVW modifier and apply it to the object. Once done, head over to the Edit UVs rollout and click on Open UV Editor. This will bring up the UV editor, where we'll be working on the UVs later in this tutorial. But for now, our focus is on getting that texture checker map in place. Inside the UV editor, you'll notice a small box menu on the top right corner. Navigate to it and click on the arrow to expand it. In the drop-down list, select Texture Checker UV_checker.png from the available options. Remember now, it's important to note the name of the material, UV_checker.png, as we'll be referring to it in the upcoming steps. This action tells 3ds Max to treat the map as a scene material, which makes it easier for us to use it as a bitmap. Now that we've got that sorted out, go ahead and close the UV editor, but do not collapse the modifier yet, because when collapsed we will lose the map as scene material. Now, open the Slate material editor again. Select the material we named Map Checker and head to the Blend Basic Parameters rollout. Here's where the magic happens. So first, click on the square next to the Diffuse Color option to open up the map browser. To find our texture checker map, simply type UV_checker.png in the search box. You'll see the map appear in the list under the Scene Materials section. Select the map and click OK. Once you click OK, 3ds Max will prompt you to choose whether you want to make a copy or an instance of this material. In this case, select Copy and Proceed. And just like that, we've successfully applied the texture checker map to our soccer ball, setting the scene for the next steps. Now you can close the material editor and select both SB White and SB Black objects and convert them to editable poly. Let's begin working on the objects now. First, select SB Black and isolate it to focus on it exclusively. Now, In the Modify panel, apply the Unwrap UVW modifier from the modifier list. Once applied, navigate to the Edit UVs rollout and click on the Open UV Editor button to access the UV Editor interface. This will allow us to manipulate and fine-tune the UV coordinates of the selected object. The UV editor in 3ds Max is a powerful tool used for manipulating and organizing UV coordinates for 3D models. It provides a visual representation of the UV space, allowing you to adjust and rearrange the texture mapping of your objects. With the UV editor, you can resize, rotate, and move UV islands, ensuring that textures are applied accurately and efficiently onto our models. It is an essential part of the texturing workflow, which enables artists to gain control over how textures are applied to their 3D creations. Now that we have the UV editor open, if we zoom out a bit, we will see that we have these forms right here that represent the pentagon patches in a 2D space. These forms are commonly referred to as UV islands. Each distinct region of group of connected UV polygons within the UV space is called an UV island. These islands represent the flattened representation of the 3D geometry that are essential for accurately mapping textures onto the object's surface. Now, of course, we could just unfold the elements and be done with it. For example, we can navigate to the Peel rollout and click on Quick Peel, and 3ds Max will lay the UV islands and pack them in the UV space. But now, if we take even closer look in the viewport, we can clearly see that we have stretching on the edges and we don't really want that stretching there, so we have to fix it. In order to fix the UVs, now we will have to go back to where we started before we build the model. Fastest way to do this is to delete the Unwrap UVW modifier and apply a new one. Once you've applied a new one, navigate to the Edit UVs rollout again and click on Open UV Editor. Now we can only see two UV islands. That means that the UV islands are stacked one on top of another in the UV space. So for example, if we choose polygon selection and select one of the islands, we will see which patches are stacked one on top of another. That means that we can work on more than one patch simultaneously. Now I should mention that I've modeled a soccer ball more than a few times before, and the starting UV point was always like this, meaning that if you follow the tutorial closely, you will also get the same result. Now let's start cutting some seams so we can get rid of the stretching. First of all, we will need to navigate to the Peel rollout and click on the arrow here to expand the drop-down list. From the available options, we will select LSCM. LSCM is abbreviation for Least Squares Conformal Mapping, which is a peel feature in 3ds Max used for unwrapping. To create a flattened 2D representation with a minimal distortion, we need to use this algorithm. So, the LSCM algorithm aims to preserve the angles and shapes of the UV islands while minimizing the stretching. Once selected, click on the Quick Peel and you will see the difference between LSCM and Unfold algorithm, which we used previously. Once we have peeled the model, with polygon selection active, we will press Ctrl A on the keyboard to make sure that we have all UV islands selected. Then we will navigate to the Tools menu of the UV editor and select Pack UVs. This action will prompt a packing tool dialog. From the dialog, we will choose Non-Convex Packing. We will set the padding to 0.01 and we will uncheck Normalize Clusters and Rescale Clusters. Once done, click OK. Now we have the UV islands packed in the UV space. In order for us to proceed with the fix for the UV layout of the model, we will need to orient all of the pentagons, and we will aim to orient them to point up, like this island right here. So, in order to do so, with polygon selection active, double click on an island to select it, and in the quick transform rollout, click on the rotate button. These rotate buttons rotate the islands clockwise and counterclockwise respectively, so we need to proceed with this procedure to set all of the islands to point up. Once done, we will need to reposition all UV islands to be in the middle of the UV square. I can show you two ways to do this. So for those that want to stick with 3ds Max's native Unwrap UVW modifier and the tools that this modifier offers, you will need to do the following. So first of all, select the UV island, navigate to the left bottom corner in the UV editor and click on Offset Mode Transform Type In. Then set both U and V coordinate to have the value of 0.5. Now these steps are crucial so we can achieve what we want to do next. But the problem that occurs here is that we have to do the same procedure for each UV island until we have them all stacked one on top of another. So it's easier for us to cut the seams on every angle of the pentagon. On the other hand, if we use a plugin like UV Tools, we will save a lot of time on such actions. So UV Tools is a powerful plugin for 3ds Max that enhances the UV editing capabilities. It provides a comprehensive set of tools and features to streamline the UV unwrapping process. Overall, UV Tools is a valuable asset for improving productivity and achieving high-quality UV mapping results in 3ds Max, and I highly recommend it. It is worth to mention that this is paid plugin, so it costs about $22 less I checked, and it's worth every cent. I will leave a link down in the description so you can go and check it out for yourself. Now, just to demonstrate, if you have the UV Tool script, select all UV islands, open the script, and in the Arrange rollout you will find the alignment options. Click on Align Vertical and Align Horizontal, and in just 2 clicks we have done what we would have to repeat 12 times to get the same result. So we still might need to set the U and V coordinates to 0.5, so double check and we are good to go. Now we can move on to the next steps. First, change the selection mode in the Unwrap UVW modifier to Edges. You can do this by pressing the number 2 on your keyboard, similarly to how we switch between sub-object levels in the Edit Poly mode. Additionally, in the UV editor you can use shortcuts to change the selection mode quickly, so pressing number 1 on the keyboard activates vertex selection mode, allowing you to select individual vertices. Number 2 switches to edge selection mode, enabling you to select edges, and similarly pressing number 3 activates polygon selection mode, allowing you to select entire polygons. These shortcuts makes it easy to switch between different selection modes and streamline our workflow in the UV editor. Now, with the edge selection mode active, select the edges on the corners of the pentagons, just like demonstrated in the video. Once you have the selection, we will navigate to the bottom toolbar of the UV editor and click on the Loop UV button. This will loop the edge loops on the corners of the pentagons, allowing you to cut the seam. After that, we will go to the Explode rollout on the right side of the editor and click on Break. This action creates the seams on the previously selected edges. Next, we will need to switch to polygon selection mode by pressing the number 3 on your keyboard and press Ctrl A to select everything in the UV space, and then go to the Tools menu and click on Relax. In the Relax dialog, we will choose the Relax algorithm, Relax by Polygon Angles. If you are using 3ds Max 2021 or an earlier version, this will be the default option for the Relax tool. Now set the iterations to 1000 and the amount to 1, and then click Apply. Now you can see how the UV islands are flattened, and there should be no stretching if you check in the viewport. Close the Relax tool dialog. Zoom out, and with polygon selection active, press Ctrl A to select all UV islands again. And in the top toolbar, select the Scale Transform tool and press R on the keyboard. Click and drag to scale the UV islands as shown in the video. Once done, you can close the UV editor. Finally, we can convert the object to editable poly and exit the isolate mode to restore the full view of the scene. And congratulations! We have now completed the steps for the SB black object. Now we will repeat the same procedure for the SB white object, but along the way we will need to adjust the steps so we avoid any hiccups. Now let's focus on the SB white object by isolating it so we can work with ease. Next, go to the Modify panel and from the modifier list apply the Unwrap UVW modifier. Once applied, open the UV editor to reveal the current UV projection. You should get the same result as in the video if you follow the steps correctly. Now you can clearly see the hexagonal shapes laid out in the UV space. We will proceed to make seams on the same edges, like we did on the SB black object, but this time instead of flattening the UV islands first, we will imagine that we look at them from the top perspective view and we will work with what we have now, meaning that we will select the edges that are not visible in the view. You get what I'm saying in about a minute, so to select the edges properly, switch to edge selection mode and carefully select one corner of one hexagon just as demonstrated in the video. However, if we now check the selection in the viewport, we will see that we have selected the edges where we want to place the seam, but we also have selected the edges next to them. To solve this, go back to the UV editor and deselect those extra edges around the corner. Now if we check the viewport again, we'll be left with only the edges where we want to create the seams. Repeat this process for all corners by selecting the intersection and deselecting not wanted edges. Again, just select the intersection and deselect the edges around the corner. What I like to do is to choose one starting point and move clockwise from that corner, because it's very easy to lose track of what we have selected, as we cannot see the selection in the editor. You can proceed to follow the video demonstration and I will be back with you in a minute. Once we have everything selected, we should check the selections again. The easiest way to do this is to select the freeform mode from the toolbar and move the selection around the UV space. If every corner moves like it is demonstrated in the video, we have the definite selection that we need to cut seams on. Make sure to undo the last action by pressing Ctrl Z or just the undo button so we can have the seams in the initial place. Once done, navigate to the Explode rollout in the right side of the UV editor and click on Break. This action will separate the edges, creating seams. After that, in the Peel rollout, change the unwrapping algorithm to LSCM and click on the Quick Peel button. Next, switch to polygon selection mode by pressing the number 3 on the keyboard. Press Ctrl 8 to select everything in the UV space, and then go to the Tools menu and click on Relax. In the Relax Tool dialog, choose the Relax algorithm Relax by Polygon Angles. Now again, if you're using a 3ds Max 2021 or an earlier version, this will be the default option for the Relax tool. So go ahead and set the iterations to 1000 and the amount to 1, and then click Apply. Now, using the UV tool script, we will orient the UV islands horizontally, and after that we will align them vertically and horizontally. Remember that this is only a shortcut, so you can do this yourself as shown previously without using the script. It would just take more of your time. Once this is done, we can navigate to the left bottom corner of the UV editor and click on the Offset Mode Transform type in. Then we set both U and V coordinates to have a value of 0.5. Now you can see how the UV islands are flattened, and there should be no stretching if you check in the viewport. So now we can close the Relax Tool dialog, we can zoom out with polygon selection active, press Ctrl 8 to select all UV islands. Right in the toolbar, we will select the Scale Transform tool, or just we'll click press R on the keyboard, and then we will click and drag to scale the UV islands as shown in the video. Once done, we can close the UV editor. Finally, we can convert the object to editable poly and exit the isolate mode to restore the full view of the scene. At last, now we have finished the modeling and unwrapping of the soccer ball. So congratulations, you now have passed the stage of unwrapping and you have made the object ready for the next stage. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next video. Stay tuned.